Well, as you might expect, Zero Hedge has a fantastic article that goes right in line with what I've been calling for through the webbot and through Martin Armstrong and just my simple knowledge of history and that everything keeps happening over and over and over again. And that is this housing crash 2.0 right around the corner? Is it coming to a country and or planet near you soon? I think the answer is yes. Number one, Martin Armstrong's models have called it decades ago, and it is fitting right in. Cliff High had already said, look for the high-end real estate to start crashing first, then the regular real estate. I've showed numerous examples of high-end real estate, and I mean high-end real estate, that have absolutely plummeted beyond belief. Um, but before I get into this, and this is shocking to me actually. Last night it was late as hell. I'm talking, it was almost 12:30 in the morning, somewhere around there, midnight, past that. And I'm just not that tired yet, so I always watch TV first, then I go to bed. And there's something on CNN, the 80s something. I'm thinking, like the 1980s. What is this about? It talks about major things that were happening at the time, stories, newsworthy, scandals, things. I'm thinking it's a CNN program? Huh. Of course, it is at midnight, past midnight when no one's watching it, but okay. I flipped it on. I wanted to see what it was about. And it was covering the savings and loan scandal. And before I forget, let me get it out of my mouth now. And that is, there was a person with the last name of Keating, I think. And this guy was this is the typical Jamie Dimon, Lloyd Blankfein of today, Wall Street banker, savings and loan scandal. The guy's robbing Peter to pay Paul. He's doing all these loans that should have never been done. They didn't check for any kind of background information. Big money involved, which caused the huge banking crisis of the 80s. And by the way, and I've said this before, just so we know, it is no different than what has happened in the 2008-2009 crisis. For the same reasons. They deregulated the banks and allowed them to gamble on anything they wanted to gamble on. And they sure as hell did, and then lost the bets. Once they lost the bets, I see there, and they're showing people, I'm talking the white hairs, the gray and white-haired people, your grandma, grandpa, are out there. My money, what happened to my money? He took our money. It's the same thing. And what do they do? Oh, Reaganomics. That's what they call Reaganomics. We're going to have to bail out these banks because I'm not going to stand here and let these people get taken. That's why, because people like to refer to Ronald Reagan. Oh, look how much he jumped that damn deficit up. They needed around $1 trillion or so to deal with that. It was a $500 billion in like losses and stuff going on. He had to do something. What did he do? Bail out. Bail them out for the sheer fact so that the people can get their money. And we don't tell them the bank's not only closed, but the FDIC insurance can't even come close to fixing this. So you're in trouble. You've been bailed in. No. Print the money, bail out the banks, which will in turn bail out the people from losing. At what cost? Massive increase in the deficit. And then we have this John McCain. You might have heard of him. You ever hear of a senator named John McCain? He looked a little bit different in the 80s, a little bit younger. He was one of the people that they called the Keating Five, who were protecting this Keating guy, I believe. And they all received very sizable campaign contributions from this entity that they're supposed to be looking into. They had this whole commission. We couldn't really find anything. There was no wrongdoing, Absolute nonsense. I just want to remind you of that. Because that was John McCain, the guy who almost became president. He did go, remember that? He did try. Didn't make it. Can you imagine if warmonger McCain got in there? Ooh. But it's the same thing. The reason I'm telling you this is because everything keeps happening for the same reasons. Deregulation, gamble like crazy, massive bailout, losses. Oh, here we go. Put regulation back. We have Glass-Steagall. We have all these things in the 90s. Clinton comes in, Bill Clinton. Let's deregulate. They deregulate. Massive. Oh, now, of course, when they do that, the economy booms. Everything looks great. So that's why a lot of people like to look back at Clinton. Oh, the economy. All I know is the economy was good when he was in power. You can bet it was. because we were creating a bubble. A massive bubble was being created. And then he can step back. George Bush Jr. takes over. He gets 2 terms. And by the time we even have to deal with this mess, I'm long gone, sucker. Let them deal with that. And of course, we got a George Bush who also wants to go to war for the rest of our lives. So that we have to take that expense into consideration. So this article, U.S. housing market in peril as increase in mortgage rates has shocked consumers. The fast rise in rates has spurred homeowners to pull back from refinancing their mortgages. Applications dropped 3% in the week ended November 18th, from just 1 week prior, by the way. The 7th, by the way, consecutive weekly decline, and the 2nd since Election Day, according to data released Wednesday by the Mortgage Bankers Association. The MBA, not to be confused with the NBA, estimates refinances will fall 46% next year, which is down to $484 billion in refinancing, which means if that's half of it, we're almost at $1 trillion is what they would normally expect of refinances. So you're taking $1 trillion out of one market, in this case real estate, and it's a huge, massive market, and saying our estimates is that it's going to be cut in half, which means what? Get ready for the job losses. Get ready for the losses in company profits. Get ready for more scandals and cooked books coming out and showing their ugly heads again from these bankers and lenders and everything else. And meanwhile, as I told you guys, I'm over here. I settled a foreclosure in Florida settlement. I got some money to walk away from it and let them take over and stop fighting them. I accepted. End of story. But, hang on a second. But I'm getting these letters from a new company. I don't have it in front of me. What is it called? Oh, it's sitting over there on the couch. I'm not going over there, okay? We are your new mortgage lender. You are behind $90,000. It keeps occurring with, fees and whatnot, late fees. You owe us $90,000. Jason 4 knows this game very well. No, I don't. That is not my debt. My debt was with Bank of America. That is written off. I've got a settlement agreement signed by their lawyers, signed by myself. This is a done, well, not signed by their lawyers. They signed it, presented by their lawyers. Done deal. Why are you even sending me this? But I know how to do this the right way. I did send a fax to them and then said, I'm also going to mail them. Certified mail, keyword. Send it certified mail. Response. I, JSNIP4 if you will, and my wife, we do not owe this debt. This debt is not valid. This debt was settled with Bank of America on this date. Here is their lawyer's information on this matter. This is not our debt. And I believe I also put in there, do not contact me again about this matter. I have the note saved on my desktop. I'll check at work. And I'm getting at least 3 letters now. After I sent that letter, I've gotten the standard mail. We're trying to collect this. You owe this money. Here's how much you owe. It's $90,000. And do you think I'm picking up the phone to call them? Listen, I've already told you it's not my debt. Leave me alone. No, my friends. No. Keep sending those letters. Let them pile up and keep piling and keep piling and keep piling. And like Lindsey Williams said, it'll keep going up. The stock market will keep going up. And then when you think it can't go up, let it go up more. When you think my pile can't get any bigger from these letters, I'm going to let it pile up more. And when you think I've got a nice huge pile of them sending me letters, I'm going to let it pile up more. You know why? Because then I'm going to send off another certified letter to their legal department this time. Not fair use. what was it called? Fair use and reporting credit, something. I've got it saved. I'm going from my memory. There's a fair use debt, something, debt practices law act. Every time you try to send someone money, a collection letter, and they told you, this isn't mine, leave me alone, and you keep sending them, each and every contact is at least $1,000 or more. So if I let these pile up for 12 months, minimum, I'm going to request, you owe me $12,000. Here's my proof. I faxed you. Here's my proof. I sent you a certified letter. Here's the copy of the certified receipt. You did reply to me. I have that reply. You also called me to ask about it and whatever. And although I didn't have to talk to you on the phone, because I'd already sent you the letter saying get lost, I did talk to you on the phone to tell you the whole situation because I didn't want to have to go through this. I didn't want to have to collect this. But you keep sending it to me, and you keep sending it to me. And now you're pissing me off. And I know the game. And I can't believe you're such a freaking idiot that you do this. I guess most people don't reply back and just let the mail pile up without ever doing anything. But old JSNIP4 is a very, very informed individual, especially on these kinds of matters. And I'm going to let those letters pile in until I decide, you know what? Now's the time. And it might be they decide to stop sending me the letters. I don't get any anymore. Then I say, well, how many do I have for these past, 6 months ago? They quit sending me stuff 6 months ago. How many do I have? Oh, I've got 8 of them. Well, it's about $8,000. I'll go ahead and fire off my settlement demand letter to their legal team, see how that goes. And I will be quoting that Fair Credit Reporting Act thing, whatever the hell that clause is. I've got this down. And by the way, should that day happen, and I think it's going to happen, I'll do a little video to keep you guys up to date on the entire process, okay? A little bonus. So, reason I had to get all out of whack over there and tell you about the savings and loan thing and all that stuff is because everything happens and then it happens again, then it goes away, and people forget, and it comes back again, the same damn thing. It's called something different, but it's the same damn thing for the same damn reasons because the same damn crooked politicians do the same stuff that crooked politicians do. So should you expect anything different? Hell no. Which means what? Which means housing collapse 2.0 is going to be coming. And I think it might be coming soon. So the MBA estimates refinances will fall 46% next year to $484 billion, which will hurt Americans' ability to free up cash by reducing the cost of their monthly mortgages. The fall in refinances also will hit an important area of consumer loan growth for banks. To slow the possible damage, banks already are pitching riskier loans that come with adjustable interest rates. Remember those, the ARMs, adjustable rates. Or allow borrowers to pull more equity out of their homes. The increase in rate has shocked consumers. I didn't expect it either, said Dave Norris, Chief Revenue Officer at Loan Depot, the 10th largest mortgage lender in the U.S. by loan volume. So an expert, the 10th largest mortgage lender in the U.S. by loan volume, this guy's an expert. I didn't expect it either. Didn't see it coming. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear those words in 2008, 2009? We didn't see this coming. Nobody saw this coming. Does that ring a bell? If it doesn't, you might want to go find the news. It's all over YouTube. You can go back and find it. Plenty of it out there. Unexpectedly, didn't know, couldn't foresee it. Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke couldn't see it coming. We didn't know. Come on. How stupid do you think we are? Well, answer, very stupid. And I think they're very right, at least up until this point. Because we sure as hell have a short memory. 1980s, savings and loan crisis. 20 years later, same thing happens again. It almost seems like every 20 years, that's like common. They just scratch off the board, wipe it off the chalkboard, and start again. Same thing. Same reasons. Same fallout. Same people get rich, filthy rich. Same people like you and I get hurt. Same people lose their jobs, etc., etc., etc. While the rich get rich, the poor get poorer. So if you look at this chart, should you want to. Average rates for 30-year fixed confirming mortgages have risen since the election. You're talking 3.6%, and then election day it starts to peak just a hair. And then what do we have the next following 2 weeks? It's up almost 4.2% to 4.2%. That's a sizable jump in a matter of 2 weeks, by the way, in case no one's paying attention. In this, which someone should raise their hand and ask, hold on, Federal Reserve, you haven't even raised rates yet. You guys are talking about doing it in December. So why is this happening right now all of a sudden? Who's in charge? Who's making this decision? How do these rates just happen? Be an interesting answer to find out. Who's doing this? Why are they doing this? Are they preparing for something they know about in advance that's going to be coming? And they need to get more interest rate money squeezed out of you and I to offset some other areas where they might be big losers in. Maybe. And refinances in 2017 are projected to account for the smallest share of total mortgage origination since the year 2000. Oh, look at this projected chart. Oh. This is awful. While mortgage applications have risen in recent weeks as people have rushed in to lock in rates, eventually the Mortgage Brokers Association, pardon me, I almost thought mortgage-backed security, no, expects rising rates will take their toll on new mortgage originations as well, with estimates calling for a 16% drop in volume in 2017. Of course, with America's linking affordability solely to monthly mortgage payments, it would stand to reason that rising rates would put pressure on home prices over the coming months and quarters. Now, how many times did your best friend, Jay Snip4, say equilibrium? How much a person makes determines how much a person can afford to live, what house they can live in, whether that's, like I say, rent could be included, but we're talking strictly homeowners mortgages. Doesn't matter though. Let's say whatever you make over here in the right hand, you've determined, you've got all your bills, you've got your little spreadsheet, you've got it figured out. Third of my income, I'm doing the normal thing. Third of my income should go for housing. That's it. Now it'd be better if a quarter of your income went to housing, but whatever. We got to live large in America. Third of our income. Doesn't matter if it's a quarter or not. Point is going to be the same. Same result. I can only afford this much. So let's just say that number is $1,500 a month. I can only afford a $1,500 a month payment. I need to get a house. 3.6% just turned to 4.2%. Nothing has changed. The same house you wanted 2 weeks ago, it's still on the market. You could have had it. It was right at that $1,500 a month, but you were still looking because you weren't sure. Now we're sure. I want the house. That was at a 3.6% rate, sir. Now it's 4.2%. So I don't have to burn my brain right now. I'm going to pull up a quick little chart for myself. You're not going to see it. Of mortgage rate calculations, just to give you an idea of what 1% here, 0.5%, whatever equals in monthly payments. Stand by. And here we go. Now this doesn't include, certain fee, the escrow stuff. This is strictly mortgage only, cost of a house. Mortgage calculator. 30-year loan, 3.6% interest rate. You could afford, too many zeros there, stand by. A $330,000 house, $1,500 a month, okay? If it went up to 4.2 in 2 weeks. We're just going to add one full percentage point. 3.6 turns to 4.6. And all of a sudden, you're now paying $1,700 a month. Like that. You can't afford $1,700. You can only afford $1,500. Which means, at that new interest rate, again, we're talking 1%. That's it. Difference. Your $330,000 house has now become $293. Your $330,000 house is now a $293,000 house. Nothing has changed. The $1,500 a month payment is identical. You're still paying $1,500. One thing changed. 3.6% turned to 4.6%. I realize this example is 1 full percent different, but it was 2 weeks ago. It was 3.6%. It's now 4.2% practically. 4.18, whatever, 4.2. Do you remember? Is it me? But do you remember the days of 6% loans, 5.5% loans, 6.5% loans? Wasn't all that long ago. So just for fun, 5.6. Right, we're going to add 2 percentage points. 3.6, 4.6, 5.6. And that $293,000 house is now $1,682 a month. Can't afford it. 273, not enough. 263, we're there pretty much. 262. Yep, 262. The $330,000 house has now turned to a $262,000 house only because it has to remain at a $1,500 a month payment. Which means what? You, the sorry sack of home ownership, who thought he or she had a $330,000 house. Let me shake my little time maneuver. My house is worth $330K, son. Your house was worth $330K. It's now worth $262K. Thank you. Sell my silver. Anyone? Silver's exploded? Yes. Great. Sell it. Buy my house. Thank you. Get lost. Okay? That is why I talk about this equilibrium. I haven't talked about it in a while. Could you imagine if we see mortgage rates, and it is possible only because it's already happened, and since things repeat over and over again, it might be safe to say it's likely to happen again, maybe even highly likely. What were mortgage rates in the 1980s? Imagine paying over 18% interest on a 30-year fixed mortgage, a year when the average rate was almost 17%. Okay, so calculator, same house, same example, same everything. Round that off, 17%. We're not going to use the 18%, 17 only. 17% interest rates for your now, remember, $330,000 house. It's now $262,000. That would make a $3,700 payment every month. That's a little bit more, tiny bit more, than your $1,500. So we need to work on that, which means we need to cut this down by at least half or more. 100,000, 110, too much. 105, 106, about 105.5. Okay. Roughly $105,500. We'll just say that $105,000 house. How sick to your stomach would you be thinking I had a $330,000 house and it's still the same house, the same building material? Matter of fact, I added some things to the house, made it worth more, honestly. It's in the same physical position. It hasn't moved. I still own the 2 acres it's on. $330,000 house. Wrong. $105,000 house, sir. Good day. 17% interest rate. And last time I checked, people don't stop living, breeding, having kids, living life, life in general. So if rates go up, how many new young bucks and their new wives are going to say, well, let's move out, honey, we need a new house? Oh, the same amount who have been saying that all these years. And then some, because we have more people on the planet, producing more people every year than that die. So there's a whole lot of new people coming on, right? Coming into the scene. They don't know anything about 4%, 3%, what 1980s, 17%, what the hell is it? So that's what we saw happen in the 1980s. And we also saw the savings and loan scandal happen in the 1980s. And we saw a banker bailout in the 1980s. Well, we have a housing crisis. Check. We've had banks bailed out in 2008, 2009. Check. We didn't have the housing problem. But I want to show you. Go back where I was. Another chart. That's why I want to go back here. And that's this. Hold on. Hold the phone. This one. Okay. Peak 2006 housing bubble. Okay, this is, and they're looking at Atlanta, Boston, wherever, Dallas. There's different ones, Denver, but you can kind of see 2006, 2007. It generally looks the same. Housing bubble peak, back down, and then here we are again. We are now back to this peak. Again, perfect, and another cycle here, if you will, and we're at the peak. So what are the chances that right now with this new peak, that sometime next year, it really starts to go downhill? I've already showed you, again, the high-end real estate is already collapsing in some of the most unbelievable places you would never think it would happen. I've already done the videos. Now it's time for regular real estate. That's you and me. So on that example, when I said that $330,000 house would now be worth $105,000 roughly, if they push the interest rates high like that, like they did in the 80s. And that is an if they do. Could you imagine saying, wow, I've got just enough silver. Maybe you have 1,000 ounces of silver. Oh my God, that's $100,000. Should the price go to $100 silver, okay? And I just bought a former $330,000 house. Today's value is $105,000. I can come up with $5,000 by myself. And I just sold all my silver that I bought, cost average for $18 an ounce, for $100,000. I got the cash, and now I'm going to take that cash and put it right into this house and own a house that used to be worth $330,000. It's worth every bit of it. Unfortunately, interest rates say it's not. And since humans have to pay for that, and those same humans have a salary that doesn't seem to go up hardly, it certainly isn't going to go up enough to match the 17% interest rate. Now, I don't know, and I can't sit here and say, I honestly cannot say that I think, if you ask me, Joe, do you think they would try to do that again with the housing, like push interest rates up to 7, even in the teens? I mean, I would reply, they did it in the 80s. They've already done it. And for the same reasons that we're facing today, except today it's even worse. The reasons, the debt, the bubbles, all this stuff, the stock market, all this nonsense. So sure, they could do it. I don't know that they will, because if they want this huge collapse to come, they won't have to go down that bridge, at least not to that level. But if they do raise the rates enough to cause problems in the whole worldwide economy, which they want to do, as you know, they will have to jump those rates up pretty nicely everywhere. So, 6 one way, half a dozen the other, I guess you could say, on how they do it, when they do it, how bad they do it. It's up for grabs, but all I know is I want my precious metals to sit with me on the sidelines as a just-in-case insurance policy. And that is one of the number one reasons why I've been telling you all these years, get your little stack of precious metals and keep going, keep stacking. Meet your goal, don't stop stacking, buy some more. Buy some more, because this is one of those things where you just don't have another chance when they pull this crap. You're going to have to get out, and that's what people argue. Well, were you going to sell it for more fiat money? Yes. Hell yes, I am. Because that same fiat money is what we use here in this country still. So if that's what's used and that's what the debt is in and that's what I have to buy stuff with, I'm going to come in with a giant wheelbarrow full of money. So what? Doesn't matter. I still get what I want for my silver. Plain and simple. That's the whole key. It's like it's an insurance policy. Not life insurance, not health insurance. Financial livelihood insurance is what I like to call it. Take care.